Yeah, and the biggest thing there is, and you think it sounds so easy. So Rob said the rules. So I'm gonna help him by telling all the coaches out there and all the parents, as much as you want the girls to do better. There's no walks. And when the coach comes in, there may be already 2 strikes on the player on the batter, and the coach may throw the 3rd strike, and then she'll be out after the 8 pitches. But I'm telling all the coaches right now, do yourself a favor from the beginning of the season to the end. The rule's 8 pitches. Keep it 8 pitches. Don't say one more. Don't say one more. It's one more if it's fouled off. But don't say one more where one player's getting 14 pitches. That happens all the time.
Right. You want to speed the game up because
Right.
it gets boring for the other 9 girls out there.
Right.
At that age, they play 4 in the outfield.
Yeah, and in the T-ball and in the 8 and under, and I don't recall, but I know that for those 2 divisions for sure. In the older division, do they also coaches to go on the field? T-ball and 8 and under.
Oh yes. It's more instructive,
Right.
instructional. At T-ball, absolutely 8 and under. They're still allowed on the field, just to help the girls out.
Right.
They're still young.
Yeah.
It's still instructional. At 10U, I don't believe they're allowed on the field. I really don't think they should be. I think they should do their coaching from the sideline.
Sure.
And when the girls come in, they can explain to them what they did wrong or what they did right.
Right. And that's a smart thing to do too. And the younger players, the whole demeanor of the game is going to be a lot slower. And I think that ironically enough, especially T-ball, if we could only keep the enthusiasm, for lack of a better word, with the parents, and keep that enthusiasm right through to their time that they get married and move out, it'd be a better game. Am I right, Rick? Hey, we're going to try to save the phone calls if anybody comes into the 3rd segment or so we can go through some of this. Okay, what else in the 10 and under were we talking about? We have no stealing.
There's no stealing.
Yeah, okay. And what about as it moves to the next age group up? I know that we're trying to move back to the complete ASA divisions.
Well, that's our ultimate goal.
Age-wise,
yes,
12,
age-wise, right. ASA rules is 10 and under, 12 and under, 14 and under, 16 and under, and 18 and
18
under.
and 16s you've always had to combine, but
in the past we've had what we call the high school prep and a high school division. The high school prep is basically a 13 and under, so you had 11, 12s, and 13s playing together, and then 14 and all the way up to 18s playing together. We like to go back to ASA rules to try to get our own, the 14-year-olds playing with just 14, 13s, not like 11-year-olds playing with the 13-year-olds. But really only time will tell with that. We got to see the way registrations come in and the way the birthdays are.
Yeah.
And if we have enough teams, to do it that way, then we're going to stick with it and we're going to do it. Otherwise, we're going to go back to where it was. So we have our 14, teams in one division and 14 teams in another division. So it makes it competitive.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, the way I always just like to say it, the 2 toughest divisions, flat out, were the 12 and unders and the 14 and unders. They were highly, even the players, highly competitive. 10 and under and everything was absolutely instructional. And back in the days too, the coach always pitched. And when kids came back to play in recreation at 18 and under, so you could have some 16 and under, 15, 16, 17, and 18-year-olds. They were back because they were having fun, or they might be some competitive players in there, but they were also doing this for fun. And we're going to have a couple of those players that played as much as 20 and 30 years ago in the league, and talk about how much fun it was to play recreational senior division ball, and then get on the high school field and play, and it was an entirely different game. So well, that's all good stuff. I think there's been a couple of other changes, and I know one, and I talked about it twice already. And you're going to have put the teams together, and you're going to have a draft. And I said I would go over that how that draft's going to go again. But when is the draft? Did you say?
May 17th.
So May 17th is the draft, and that's open
Sunday.
to anybody that wants to come and watch it, right? I mean,
Oh, sure.
parents, coaches.
Well, obviously the coaches are going to be there.
Wow. Well, coaches, they can sit.
team.
If it's a competitive division and you're keeping standings, then the way the draft's going to be is that the pitchers and catchers will absolutely be identified as bona fide ASA type or high school caliber players, and the pitchers go in one pile and the catchers go in one pile.
Right, varsity players.
Varsity players. Right, and then all the other players in a particular age division go in a pile face down. All of the draft is face down, but you've identified the three groups of players, and the way it will work, and let's just say it's a 12 and under division. Each team can start out with two coaches, a manager and a coach, and their daughters obviously come on that team, and the two coaches, the only stipulation there is they can't both have daughters who are pitchers, so that one team doesn't get two big pitchers right out of the box. And then what's going to happen is, depending on the need and the standings from last year, by team name, it's the only fair way to do it, is that the last place team gets to draft first, and they will draft a pitcher. And no team gets, technically speaking, everybody will draft an ASA or high school caliber player until each team has an equal number of, say, 2 or 3, but no team gets a fourth ASA player or high school player until every team at least has 3. So that way that as you build it up, you could have a core of 4 or 5 high school or ASA players on each of 8 teams, which would, balances out, it helps balance it out a lot. So I think that's a great thing that they're going to institute. And if it works out with the 14 and unders this year, they're going to go back. They had a rule in the past, and it was tough to administer with a call-up rule because, again, we already talked about the high school players working, which means that sometimes you could have 15 girls on a 18 and under team, and you're still struggling to get a player some nights. So the way it typically works is that 14 and under team would be assigned by draw out of a hat. A team on the 14 under division would be a call-up team for a particular senior high school division team. And they would just rotate through a list of call-up players who would be pre-known to the coach in the senior division, and that call-up player would be approved by the coach as having a skill level, safety-wise, to play in that division, and the parent approving it and all that good stuff. And that always seems to work pretty good to have full teams on there.
Right.
So the draft and stuff will be good. Let's talk a little bit. Let's go back to the ASA travel teams real quick, and then we'll go to another break.
Sure.
Okay, so give us an idea.
Well, we can talk about our tournament.
Yeah.
Toms River is hosting its annual tournament. It's June 26th and 27th. The last time I seen, I believe there was over 40 teams registered already for our tournament.
Wow.
So right there we'll be using at least 11, 12 fields all over town. It's a pretty big tournament. I think it's going to get bigger. I think we can get up there around 50.
Yeah.
We've had them as big as 64.
Right.
Which is a little crazy.
It's crazy.
Be happy if it's around 50. That'll be nice. And as long as it doesn't rain.
And I'm just going to see, because he said it, I'm just going to tell you that this is the rule in Toms River. There are people like Rob, and there are people that take off Thursday and Friday, and they prepare the fields for Saturday, for the start of the games on Saturday. And in ASA tournaments, the way they work is Saturday is a seeding day, where each of the teams plays typically at least 3 games, and then based on your record, you're seeded the next day for Sunday. And then on Sunday, it's typically one and done. And sometimes you could play, as I said before, as many as little as 3 and as many as 5 games to win a championship, depending on the number of teams. Toms River's always been good about splitting the 2 brackets.
Yes, there will be this year also an A and B bracket.
So depending on your seeding, the lower half of the seeded teams will automatically go into the B bracket, and they get a chance to win a championship.
Correct. They can win. They could be the champions of the B bracket, and they'll be a champion of the A bracket. Each winner and loser will receive a trophy. They get medals on Saturday for most electric player
I think that's
for each
awesome.
game. So
Right.